checking out the fair, what's going on. It brought us closer, and then we'll talk out.
And I think you had told us not to stroll at one point last time, wasn't it?
It's about
Yeah.
they had to blow up. It was more like purgatory. Yeah. There wasn't much. It was definitely interesting. And that's at the Green Hospital. Yeah, some pantomime, I think, by Del. There's a lot of house. It's a group that's I don't know, because they call it canto, but I don't know if it's like full pantomime, or if it's just a lot of comedy, like comedy theater, physical theater.
I'm sure it was.
I'm not sure.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Hi, welcome. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Megan Carney, and I'm the director of the Gender and Sexuality Center here. And I wanted to start off by introducing our host, Dr. Lori Baptista, the director of the African American Cultural Center, who can tell us a little bit about where we are. So thanks, Lori.
Thank you. It's our home. It's really nice to have everyone here. For those of you who may not have been here before, the African American Cultural Center is 21 years old, and it was founded really out of the efforts of students and some staff and faculty really feeling like there needed to be an institutional home that expanded or extended the mission of what the academic department of African American Studies did, which was at the time Black Studies, to really be a place for African American students and students from the diaspora's culture to be valued. And so we look around here, there's an installation that's going up now. The idea would be that there's some ways that visual art primarily, but certainly spoken word and other creative formats, or these other ways that kind of balance the intellectual work that faculty were engaged in and the teaching that was happening, and also being a place to bring together people from the community, from various communities. So external arts community, internal community, and different groups. So hopefully we're continuing in this kind of tradition of gatherings in this way. We've undergone renovation. For those of you have been here before will have noticed, and we're always looking for ways to establish new and sustainable partnerships that continue to further the work of a lot of what people on campus are doing, particularly as it relates to social justice issues. So with that said, I welcome you to our space here, and we did recently update our website, so if you're interested in more of our programs and activities, I invite you to visit us there on the web. But welcome.
Thanks, Lori. I'm so glad to be here. I just love this space. It's so beautiful and it's really inviting for stories, which is really what we're here to share today. And I'm up here with this good-looking cast of people who are about to do a staged reading for you. And I'm sure you're familiar with the staged reading, but just to kind of set the stage for what's about to happen, a staged reading is very raw, right, in process experience of some new text that's being developed into a play. And that's what we want to share with you today. We're bringing this to you in progress because we're hoping that through this event today, you're going to help us learn a little bit about these stories and the impact that they have, emotionally, intellectually, what questions they spark. We're hoping to learn a lot today with you. And I don't know if you knew this, but UIC was recently named one of the top 25 LGBTQ friendliest campuses in the country. Yes. We're excited about this, you know, and one of the reasons why I think that UIC has earned this marker as such an inclusive campus is that there are enough of us here at UIC who are really interested in learning about people different than us. We're willing to roll up our sleeves and do the work, and we do believe that we can do it better. And that's the environment in which we're living and learning and thinking and growing together here at this campus. Which is why when Jonathan Mayo came and talked to me about this project that he wanted to work on, he said, I want to collect stories about coming out, and I want to do it as a performance and a workshop, and I wanted to travel around. And I thought, well, yes, absolutely, we should do that at UIC, because we've got some amazing coming out stories, right? Funny stories, heartbreaking stories, life-changing stories about coming out, right? And a lot of people who are still in the midst of their coming out stories are figuring out what that might be, right? But also because coming out is still an issue, right? So we could debate about, have things really gotten better, are things getting better, but we know that coming out is still an issue no matter who you are and no matter where you live, right? That because of homophobia, transphobia, because of bigotry, because of prejudice in our culture, there are risks involved in proudly declaring yourself as gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and queer. And so the stories kind of call us to look at that a little bit differently, right? When Jonathan told me that he also wanted to tell the stories of people who were on the other side of that moment, right? When he said, I also want to tell the stories of people who were come out too, if you will, or people who received the information, I thought, well, now we're really onto something, right? Because the stories, when they sit side by side like that, reveal these moments of change in our lives. So you see these stories of trepidation, of hesitation, of fear, of worry, of bravery, of trust, of love, from both angles, right? Sitting side by side with concern, with surprise, with hope. And when we see these moments of people accepting each other for who they truly are, I think they really show us through example of ways that this action can take place, right? That the coming out moment really calls us all to take action. And the stories reveal the ways that we can do that for each other through different lenses, different cultures, different ages, different religious backgrounds, right? How do we really make the change that we want to see? So these stories start to reveal some of that for us. Over 20 people were interviewed for this project so far, and it's just the beginning. A lot of people came forward to tell their stories. They volunteered their time. They volunteered their stories for the greater good. These actors you see before you, the director, volunteered their time because they wanted to learn more about this, and they believed that this kind of project could really make a difference. So it's really been an honor to be a part of this project that's fueled by such generosity and desire for change. The actors are playing multiple roles. No one's telling their own story. They're each telling a lot of different stories, so you'll see it kind of collaged and played through their bodies. And finally, I just wanted to say that I love that this show is called Cleaning Closets. because it's fun, it's light, it's kind of refreshing, but it's also real, you know? It's, well, when's the last time you cleaned your closet? You know? It's hard work, right? It's the real work of tidying up affairs and really putting things in order. And I think that when each of us thinks about that, we could think, well, what about my own closets? Do I need to really take care of in this regard, right? And when am I ready? Or even what does it take for me to be ready to roll up my sleeves and get down to it? So maybe some of those revelations will come up for you today, too. I wanted to give a thanks to Jonathan and to Liz for bringing us this project, and hope that no matter where you're standing today, no matter which side of the door you might be standing on, that the play sort of encourages you to sort of open it up and let in some more light. And I look forward to talking about that after the show. So thanks for being here. We're glad you're with us today, and enjoy the reading.
Closets will open. We visualize it opening with a collage of actual voices from some of the interviews that we've taken. And we have just a few for you at this moment.
I'm first generation Palestinian.
I'm gay.
I'm Catholic.
I'll be 40 in August.
Lesbian, a woman who is attracted to another woman. Gay, a man who is attracted to another man. Bisexual, a person for whom gender is not the first criteria in being attracted to someone. Transgender, an umbrella term for people whose gender identity does not match the cultural norm. Queer, currently used as an all-encompassing label for any person who believes their gender identity or sexual orientation is not reflected by the standard model.
Hello.
Hello.
She's Mandy.
And he's Rick.
And we're married. And we have 3 sons. And
One of them is gay. And at first when you learn that, you feel like it's something that shows, it's something people can tell just by looking at you.
Like, everyone can see that we've
got a gay son. But what I think that people don't realize is it's not just about your child coming out of the closet, they're really inviting you in.
Mm-hmm.
You have this new information, but you don't know exactly what you're supposed to do with it.
Well, that's how we felt. I mean, all families are different, and where we come from in our white, middle class,
Catholic.
ex-military.
Right, and for our generation, we're both in our 60s.
We just acted based on what we knew at the time. This is our son, Max. Hi, Maxine.
Hi.
A few years back, we all went out to Providence Island.
No, Provincetown.
Providence, Massachusetts.
No, Provincetown.
Provincetown.
And honey, this was before he told us. We went to Provincetown, and he introduced us to a friend.
Who just happened to be on the island, but he wasn't staying with us. But, you know, somehow every time we went out, his friend was magically there. It was
Brad. And that was before he told us.
Oh, was that before he told us?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I accept that. Anyway, he gave us this fateful phone call. We had just gotten back from St. Louis.
We had literally just pulled in the driveway. The back door was open, the car doors were open, the dog was running around, the phone was ringing, and it's Max.
Oh, good, you're home.
Yep, we just got in.
Well, is Dad there?
Yes, Dad is there.
Okay, because I've got something to tell you, and it probably won't make any sense, but I've got to tell you.
Did we both listen at the same time?
I think so, you got on the extension.
Oh, yeah, this was an era when you didn't have cell phones, and we were both on a phone extension.
So you can see how long ago that was.
He didn't beat around the bush.
I wanted to tell you this for a long time, and I didn't know how to tell you, because I wasn't sure how you'd react.
So we just sat down on the sofa,
And he said,
I'm gay.
and we said, okay,
okay,
you're gay.
you're gay.
He invited us in.
Just like that. And we sent out a Christmas picture letter every year, and I said, well, why don't we just say it in the Christmas letter? You know, we more or less said, our son told us he's gay, and we're supporting him.
Well, we weren't that,
So we pussyfooted around
Yeah.
a little.
We pussyfooted around a bit. But eventually what we did was include a picture of our son Max and Brad.
His significant other.
That's what we did. And if people didn't figure it out then, well, oh my gosh, I don't know.
Yeah. And I'm glad Brad's name wasn't Pat. Hey, Brandy?
It makes it easier.
The organization Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays, PFLAG, states that according to Dr. Catlin Ryan of the Family Acceptance Project, the average age a child knows he or she is LGBT is 13.
Well, I'm the B in the alphabet. I'm a black bisexual woman from a Pentecostal family in Tennessee. And I knew in the 3rd grade because I had a crush on one of my classmates, Jasmine. And she was so pretty. When I think back, I just see two little girls, I just see us as little girls always flirting with her. Even in the 3rd grade, I'd always mess with her, pull her hair, you know, and she'd be like, "Jordan, stop!" She was the girl I liked. However, I knew that was taboo. I come from heavy, laden Christians. You know, we follow a specific formula in life. So as I got older, I knew I couldn't pursue a girl. I'd always had boyfriends until college. And I was like, whoa, 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 I'm really paying too much attention to women. And it's like, wow, that's not even cool, that's just not right. So I 86'd it from my mind. I moved to Chicago for graduate school, and I felt like, what planet did I drop on? Because it was a different type of liberation here, especially sexual liberation. And when I moved here first, I moved to Lakeview, and the Pride Parade was happening. Oh my God, all these people that were out. If something was lifted from me, at the Pride Parade, just seeing everybody having fun, being there, you know, just free and having pride. I had never seen freedom like that before. And the guys are kissing each other, and these women are hugging each other on motorbikes. And wow, I thought, this is so far from Tennessee. I was really thankful for the opportunity to experience this. So long story short, I ended up meeting someone my last year in graduate school, and I immediately adored her. I was just like, oh my God, I cannot believe I'm so in love with this girl, and I hardly even know anything about her. But I knew she was out. She was a seasoned lesbian, and her parents and her whole family accepted her. And that was refreshing and new to me. But you know, she could possibly be a friend, so I didn't want to mess it up. I ended up moving to New York, and because she had lived in New York before, I had every excuse to call her and be like, "Oh, I'm in Washington Park, I'm lost, could you kind of direct me?" Or just have a conversation with her. We talked every day. We were becoming best friends for life. And then I started dropping hints, sort of coming out to her without even knowing I was coming out to her. I would say things like, "Oh, these girls were flirting with me at the store," and she would be like, "Oh, okay." Then one day, I decided I was going to do it. I was just going to say something. I just said, "You know what? I have to tell you something, but I can't say it. So I need you to go to the store and go to the CD store and buy the Love Jones soundtrack and listen to track 10. It was the song Rush Over by Michelle Nannatello. And it was just basically this woman who was just speaking about how she wants this person to come over to her home, and there's all these rushing feelings that are rushing over her. And it was exactly how I felt. I stayed on the phone with her while she walked to the store, bought the CD, and listened to the track. And she was like, "Oh, Jordan, I feel the same way too." So fast forward, we had been together for 4 months, so we decided we were going to be girlfriends. Yes, we were going to be girlfriends. And then she says, "You know I can't do this alone, just in the closet." And I was like, "Fine, we'll go visit my family. It's cool. I want my family. Whatever's going to be the drawback, I'm willing to go through because these feelings are so strong. I've never felt anything like this before." So that December, we went to Tennessee during the holidays and she met my family. Now, a tradition that we have in the family is we stand in a circle and pray before anyone heads out on the road. So we got in a circle. It was my 13-year-old niece, my sister, my mom, my girlfriend, me. So we're in a circle holding hands. My mom is praying, you know.
Protect them over the highways and byways.
And then it was like,
Amen.
and I said, "Oh, before we go," it just fell out of me. I hadn't even planned it. I just wanted you to know that she's not just my best friend. She's my lover. And so everybody just scattered.
Okay, let's pray.
Quiet. And And then my mom, like, she didn't even hear it.
Oh, Jordan Hunt, don't forget this. You need to take some long johns because it'll be getting cold out there.
I had no idea that was even going to come out of me. It just happened. And nothing has been the same ever since.
The website sanfrancisco.travel states that in 1978, per Harvey Milk's request, Gilbert Baker created the rainbow flag to be a positive symbol of gay pride. Today's flag consists of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and white.
It was always something different about my brother. It's a good way to put it. I always remember feeling that way, even when I was a child. I'm 28 now, so I have a different idea about it, but growing up like we did in a black Christian family out in Nevada, we were just close. When he graduated from high school, I had known all of his friends. He had a core group, like Jason and Keontae. They'd always have all these parties and be with girls. But then, there was this one day when my brother took us to a street fair and we met up with his friends. It was like a whole new group of people, and they were all guys. And we're just like, who are these people? When did you start hanging out with them? And who is this guy? And why does this guy have on lipstick? Like, really? Who are these people? What is going on? We never met any of them before, but nobody really said anything. And I remember lots of rainbows. I was like, wait, why does this boy have on a rainbow bracelet? And why does that guy have a rainbow on his car? I didn't know what the rainbow was at that time. That literally went right over my head. Looking back in hindsight, they were all gay. And they were out. So I'm walking through the street fair with LJ and her dad, and Dad's all like,
Oh, is that Wendy Williams? Oh my God, can we go meet her?
That's not Wendy Williams, Dad. That's just somebody dressed up like Wendy Williams.
Oh.
and there's ABBA performing, and Dad's like,
ABBA's still performing? I didn't know they were still around.
That's not ABBA, Dad.
But they sound just like them.
That's because they have a track and they're lip syncing. They're drag queens dressed up like ABBA.
Is this some sort of homosexual event?
Yes, Dad, it is.
Okay, cool.
and we walked around with LJ and all his friends. LJ didn't want to share these friends with us before that. These were friendships he was keeping from us. Now, I don't think there's ever a spoken conversation with my parents. He kind of just decided to come out in other ways. I feel like my brother's coming out brought my family a lot closer. My mom and dad supported him. It brought us closer. So, I want to say about a week later, it was summertime, school was out, and I was in the 7th grade, going into 8th grade. And I was completely in my own world, the way kids are. And I was on the phone with one of my friends, and this was when you used to have those, we call them conference calls now, a party line. I was on a party line. It was 1 o'clock in the morning, and he walks in the living room, and he sits on the couch.
I need to talk to you. Come on, I need to talk to you, seriously.
What the hell do you want, LJ? Oh, no.
I need to tell you something. I'm gay.
Okay, why are you telling me?
Well, because I'm gay and I want everybody to know.
You know, I don't care. I still love you.
All right.
Looking back, I don't think I understood it. Like, I understood what it meant, but I didn't understand. Realistically, prior to that, I had no experience with, anybody that was openly out. He could have said, I'm a jogger. It would have been the same thing to me. We never really had any formal conversation about it after that. I don't know who else he talked to or what made him so liberated. But after that summer, I noticed my brother began to live his life.
According to the Human Rights Campaign, over 1/2 of LGBT youth, or 54%, say they have been verbally harassed and called names involving anti-gay slurs such as gay and fag.
When you look at all the dimensions of diversity, race, gender, ability, age, body type, all of that, religion, it can get really complicated. To straights, I'm too gay. To gays, I'm not gay enough. Filipinos look at me like I'm not Asian enough. Americans may look at me like I'm not Americanized enough. I don't think some people understand just how difficult it can be. And all these LGBT youth suicides. When I was a team director, I was pretty much an empowering figure. The kids would come and talk to me, and I would sit and I would coach them through some really tough crap. Then one day there were these two 7th graders teasing each other, and one was teasing the other for being femmy. And he kept calling the one gay, and eventually the other boy said, "Maybe I am." He just stood up and nailed it on the head. But I wasn't out, and I didn't know from a youth worker's perspective how to navigate that. And so it was the first of a series of incidents that made me feel like I wasn't being effective as a youth worker, as a leader, as a mentor. I wasn't being true. In the summer of 2009, 2 kids I had worked with died. One was being bullied because she was being accused of being a lesbian. Accused of being a lesbian. So she took her dad's gun and she shot herself. I was a wreck. Seeing a 15-year-old kid lying in a damn frickin' coffin. Kids are still killing themselves, and I'm hearing on YouTube there's people getting lit on fire for being gay. Just for being gay. Politics aside, that alone is horrific. It's the story of people who are oppressed, gay, black, minority, whatever. Coming out now has got to go beyond the individual. It's difficult to be in this line of work when it's all about letting your spirit shine, and I can only let half of mine shine. I'm still on this weird journey of who I am. I packed up and moved to New York City after those incidents. I think subconsciously I moved there to find myself, and the first year was hell. It was this process of crisis and evolution, and crisis and evolution. And then I was becoming depressed. I found this Chinese Baptist church, and I shared my feelings with my church, and they actually paid for counseling for me. Well, this therapist talked to me about the importance of honesty, and I thought, I have to do this. I want to do this. If I'm like this, if I am created like this, maybe I need to look into it more. So maybe I was making a total rationalization to be with men, but I said, screw it. You know, I was single and living in New York City. So I hit every club, gay club, straight club, bi club, funky club. I went everywhere, just enjoying myself. And at this one club, I had a few drinks, so, you know, liquid courage, and I met this guy. His name was Pierre. He was Asian like me, but he had changed his name because he lived in France. So he grew up in the Midwest somewhere. He was Indo-Chinese Filipino, and he carried his camera in his holster, you know, very hipster. I met him one week, and the next week we hung out, and for some reason it just clicked. When I was talking with him, it was all about what I could become and what I wanted to be. He didn't have it all together. He didn't know where his next paycheck was coming from, but he just sucked every moment out of life, and that was contagious. I'd only been with women up to that point, and my work always came first, but with Pierre, all of a sudden, I just flew to the other end of the spectrum. It was the most intense. You know how people just come into your life and they really affect you? Whether he knew it or not, Pierre unlocked a side of me that had been dormant for a very long time. He showed me that you can be out and bi or gay or Asian American, American Asian, the whole person. You know, he made me realize that it's possible for someone to love me. Being closeted for so long, I resigned that I was going to be alone. It was only 1 month, but in that month I came out at work, I came out to a couple of good friends, and I came out to my closest sister, who also lives in the city. So then, I was talking with my grandma the other day. Hi, Grandma. And she brought up something about my job. You know, about my job, and somehow it came up about same-sex equality. Grandma, what do you think about that?
You know, I'm a little old school, but I think people should love who they want.
tell you something, Grandma.
Don't tell me you're gay.
Okay. You know what? Don't worry about it. That comment just sent me over. Just wrecked me, because I don't feel like I'm being true to her or to Grandpa or to whoever, if I don't share with them. And what if they would, be fine with it? And I'm not giving them a chance to know me because of my own fear. But what if they reject me completely and I lose my linkage to their love and to my ancestry? I know what I'm holding back. I'm holding back me.
The American Psychiatric Association opposes any psychiatric treatment such as reparative or conversion therapy, which is based on the assumption that homosexuality per se is a mental disorder, or based on a prior assumption that the patient should change his or her sexual orientation.
I grew up in rural Ohio, and I guess I've always been a free spirit. I married a Lutheran man, and when I was very young, and I had 2 little girls and a boy. And of course, I wanted the little boy to play sports, and I bought him little baseball outfits and gave him a little glove and a ball, and I threw it at him, and it hit him in the chest and fell to the floor, and he cried and said he didn't want to play sports. My little boy loved art and beauty. Growing up, Leo always saw the beauty that other boys didn't see. I can remember working on the girls' hair, and he'd jump in and start doing Molly's hair while I was doing Ashley's hair. He'd coordinate their outfits and things. So when he told me,
Mom, I'm gay.
I already knew. And I think you were a little disappointed.
Well, duh. It was like you were waiting for me to tell you all this time, and I was so pissed. A, if you knew you could have said something. B, I was expecting some drama, and there was like, no drama.
I was almost happy about it, and I think that freaked everybody out. I was running to work going, my son's gay! And they're like, all right, settle down. I'm just so happy that he knows who he is. Because, well, when you were younger, you were so conflicted inside. Think about that year when you came home for Christmas and you stopped over at your dad and your stepmom's house.
Oh, now that was some drama.
I can't handle this. We're sending you to a corrective camp.
If what you say is true and God created you this way, then God meant it as a challenge for you to get through. You can overcome this, son.
You better be straight by the time you come back from spring break.
You can't stay here.
And as soon as you came back to my house, the first words you said were,
I'm not gay.
and I thought, what do you mean you're not gay?
Well, it was because I talked to Dad, and he said it's probably just a thing I'm going through.
I told you then and there, Leo, you've got to be who you are.
Yeah, I remember that. That saved my life. When Dad kicked me out, I thought that was it. That was it for me. When I got back to school that term, I got a letter from them with a bunch of Bible verses basically condemning me to hell. I never told you that before. It was just something I kept inside. There were a lot of things I just never told you. I never really talked about. I don't know how many nights I would walk out of my dorm with a smile on my face and then go back in there and dwell. It was just constantly on my mind. Sometimes I would think of suicide. I would think of it as revenge. Because, they didn't love me anyway. I always walked out of my dorm, and I tried to show a happy face. But when I ever got back there, it all consumed me. It affected my grades too. I felt like God, my church, and my family had abandoned me. And I hear Dad's voice calling me selfish. Then I remember what you said.
Listen, no matter what happens ever, you always have a safe place for me.
according to a recent youth survey done by the Human Rights Campaign, 9 in 10 LGBT youth, that's 91%, say they are out to their close friends, and 64% are out to their classmates. About a third are out to their teachers. In general, nearly 61% say they are out at school.
Well, I'm in my 60s now, and this is my daughter Jessica.
And I'm 33 years old. I guess you could say we're from the suburbs of Illinois.
And I knew Dave was gay when I met him. He told me, yeah, he just told me, flat out, you know, and we got together at a wedding. He played clarinet, Ave Maria at this girl's wedding, and we kind of got together and danced a little bit and stuff like that. We got along right away. We felt comfortable with each other and moved in together not long after that. And one day in the mail, somebody sent a card that said, Mr. and Mrs. DeFranco, and I thought, oh, that's kind of a neat idea. So we got married. At a judge's house, and it was a non-religious ceremony, of course. And then we went to McDonald's afterwards.
And now you're a lesbian.
Yeah. There was a faculty member in the English department where I was working. Well, actually, it was her attention that got me, you know, she became interested in me, and so that made me interested in her, and then she wasn't interested anymore. So she should have left me alone in the first place, but by then I had to explore. And I went to Champaign and explored the gay and lesbian community there.
And you were still with Dad.
Still with Dave.
And he was gay.
But for some reason, everything turned me against Dave, so I rejected him, rejected my family.
And sometimes it's the family. Sometimes the family is the one that goes away, the one that's coming out. But in your case, you wanted to leave and find another group to be with.
And now that I've come full circle, I wish I could do it again and not do that. I have a lot of regrets about what I did. Poor Jessica, you know. Did you get upset when Dave came out? Not my dad, when you started crying.
Yeah, I probably said, not my dad, and went crying. I remember we were in the basement, and Dad told me he was gay, and I was so freaked out because I didn't want any of my friends to know. I thought I was going to be teased. I was so scared that the whole town was going to know. But I remember being in the basement, you guys were there, and saying there's something we need to tell you.
I don't remember being there.
I'm pretty sure you were there.
But I don't remember.
You guys were acting all kind of weird, like you did when you told me about Santa Claus. Like the month before. No, just kidding. It was 2 years before. I was 9, and then,
That's another story.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story. And then I remember Dad being really timid. And you guys kind of started talking back and forth, like, how do we say this to her? And then you guys started out like, you know how Dad's been hanging out with that one guy? Like beating around the bush. And then it was just like, well, Dad's gay. And yeah, I just remember freaking out. It almost made it better when I found out you were both gay. I just remember like freshman year, I remember people thought you guys were getting divorced. I was a cheerleader. And my PE teacher thought you were getting divorced, and you guys never got divorced, only separated.
Yeah, we never divorced.
And my cheerleading squad thought you were getting divorced, and everyone felt sorry for me. And I remember I couldn't say anything to anybody. My parents are gay. I couldn't tell a soul. I was so scared people were going to make fun of me, and everyone was going to find out. I felt like it was our family secret. Dad was always funny. He would always tell you who was gay, like which president was gay. Or he'd tell you he was really involved in gay rights. He had tons of books and subscribed to lots of magazines. He was outwardly gay, but you never really were. You just moved to Champaign and got together with that cliquey lesbian group. Yeah. There's still cliquey lesbians. Champaign has a cliquey lesbian group.
Yeah.
But then when you guys moved back in together, you helped him a lot. He had a lot of health problems.
Yeah, and I should have helped him more.
No, you helped him so much, Mom. You helped him all the time.
No, I didn't. I feel bad for that now.
But in the past few years before his death, you were always driving him around. And I know you guys never cuddled again, but you were still friends.
Yeah, kind of hugged a little bit and stuff.
Yeah.
Dave was the only person I was ever totally comfortable with.
Yeah, you were best friends.
Yeah, we were.
With all my friends, if I ever said both of my parents are gay, everyone always had the same reaction. They would always go, both of them? People were super confused, like, how can both of your parents be gay? How do you exist? So people started calling me a miracle instead of an accident. And I remember thinking, if only one of them was gay, it would probably be way worse, because you guys wouldn't have been able to understand each other. And then the outsiders would look at it as though one of you left the other.
You were voted the most changed in high school, weren't you?
Yeah, I was voted the most changed.
From a freshman to a senior.
Right, because I was a cheerleader freshman year, I got kicked off for getting my lip pierced my junior year, and I shaved my head senior year. Even though I had already graduated early, I wasn't going there anymore, so yeah. Who knows, maybe some of that could have had something to do with what was going on with you guys.
Yeah, I could see that.
Nearly 6 in 10 LGBT youth, or 57%, say that churches or places of worship are not accepting, according to a recent study by the Human Rights Campaign.
My friend is this really petite punch in the face. She's just lots of energy. She will erupt in laughter over the snarkiest, most sarcastic comment, and you can actually tell when she's smiling over the phone. We were talking on our cell phones more frequently at the time. It was right after she graduated, and she was in LA. She'd been down because the crummy apartment she lived in wasn't that great, she didn't have any friends yet, and she hadn't started school. And I remember her just getting kind of quiet. And she was like, so I have something to tell you, and I'm nervous about telling you. And then I said, okay, well, just tell me, because it's better to tell me than to just sit there and regret or be anxious about it. And then it was just kind of spill the beans. I'm a lesbian, and I kind of realized this way early in college. I don't have a girlfriend, but I know that I am. I remember feeling just like, kind of a revelation. Like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. She also told me that she was involved in a church. She wanted me to know that she felt comfortable going to it, and that they're accepting of gays and lesbians. The way that I believe and she believes is you can love God and be who you are. So her tone changed to relief. And then it was just like friends talking. Do you feel okay? Is everybody treating you okay? I felt really honored that she would consider me that good of a friend. Because I don't think it's something you have to tell everybody. Like, you don't have to come out individually to every person you know. You just have to kind of walk up to people and say, hey, I'm gay. I'm gay. I'm gay. But she knows that I'm going to ask the tough questions. You know, I made her tell me about her mom and dad. Oh my gosh, how was that? Because she's a PK, a pastor's kid. Her dad is essentially the president of this entire community. And her dad is 100% fine with it. He loves her. He knew that that was what he had to do. He had to love his daughter, even when she did something that maybe he didn't understand or maybe didn't fit with his principles that he'd been teaching people all his life. And she can talk about her relationship with her new girlfriend openly, but what is still really tragic, 5 and 6 years later, is that her mother will not accept it whatsoever. Her mom will talk to her on the phone, but she does not ask anything about her personal life. Her mom still has a lot of hate there. Now, she even works in a church where she's openly gay, and her girlfriend goes there. She even got accepted to Berkeley for a PhD in divinity. And that makes me think that there's promise and hope for the world. Because if a lesbian woman who works in a church can go get a degree in divinity and be a pastor, like, that's incredible.
Mitch finally told me a month ago. Yeah, I met him at Howard University when I was 17. That's almost 13 years ago. Because I'll be 30 in August. He was like, I want to come visit you, and I was like, great, tell me when you're coming. Then he booked his flight. He was coming on a Thursday, and on a Monday he said, Vanessa's not going to have a problem that I'm gay, right? Of course not, I told him. I would never do like that. And I would never be with a woman who wouldn't accept my friends. And that's how he came out to me, through a text. Through a text. Through a text message, all via text. It was a little cheap, but then again, it was not a big deal, maybe. I guess it's like Anderson Cooper. I'm gay. Anyways, back to the news. Like, it's cold there, and I'm gay. Guess our relationship wasn't that type of relationship that needed to let me sit down on this table and tell you that I'm gay. Maybe that's reserved for parents.
The Human Rights Campaign informs us that more than half of LGBTU say they are not out to their immediate family, while only 25 are out to their extended family.
My mother is 78 years old, and when I first told her about my son, her grandson, she said, well, maybe it's in his genes. Or maybe, because he was a swimmer at the time, she said, well, Jude, maybe it's because he's got too much muscle in his upper chest or something. My mother's kind of like old school. Everyone in West Virginia is where I'm from. You date a man or you date a woman, you have kids, you have a family. She just came right out and told me that they are not welcome in her house. And I told her, I said, Mom, you have just lost 2 of the greatest people you will ever know. And I just left it at that.
I would say just try to be as open and accepting as possible.
Absolutely. Number 1, don't make any rash judgments or decisions that wouldn't allow you to ultimately accept your child. Don't be afraid.
Well, I think the first reaction could be fear. If it's not fear for yourself and your circle of friends and life as you know it, it could be fear for the challenge that your child might have to face because of who they are.
Don't let fear overtake you.
Be quiet and let it sink in first before you decide how you're going to fit into your child's life and how your child is going to fit into the life you thought you had. Because truthfully, the life you thought you had still exists.
If you burn any bridges, you are just going to miss out on a wealth of wonderful things. The more open you can be, the richer your life can be.
The Harvard Business Review states that 85% of Fortune 500 companies have protective policies that address sexual orientation, up from 51% in 2000. Fully 48% of LGBT respondents report maintaining closet at work. 7 million, the estimated number of LGBT employees in the U.S. private sector. 29, the number of states in which workers can be fired for being gay.
I grew up in North Carolina and joined the military in '88. Clinton put "Don't ask, don't tell"